Okay, yesterday we left off talking about our antiviral nutritional strategies, which is a slight digression from our discussion on prostaglandins. We've been talking about prostaglandins now for a few weeks. Prostaglandins are those miraculous, instantaneously acting chemicals that make things happen in the body. Pretty much all degenerative diseases, all inflammatory diseases, all immune issues have some kind of prostaglandin connection. Prostaglandin deficiencies are not unheard of. They're not uncommon, and they are associated with lots of health issues. I say slight digression because there's an important connection between prostaglandins and the immune system and the immune response and the body's ability to protect itself from viruses. In any case, the drumbeat about Ebola seems to be getting louder and louder and louder. No surprise there. That's the way these things work. First, the media, the mainstream media will give you a little mention here and there, and then it gets bigger. The drumbeat gets louder and louder and louder. Now we got breaking news. Connecticut governor declares a state of emergency due to Ebola. The state of Connecticut has become, this is from CNN, the state of Connecticut has become the first to declare a state of public health emergency over the possibility of an Ebola virus outbreak in the United States. How many victims of Ebola live in Connecticut? How much Ebola is in Connecticut? Nothing. There's no Ebola in Connecticut. This is just a more government meddling, more interference. Nobody has Ebola in Connecticut. Nobody in the entire country, with the exception of a nurse and possibly her boyfriend in Texas, has contracted Ebola in the United States. What is going on, people? This is craziness. Ebola is a weak virus. I said it before. I'll say it again. I said it yesterday. Ebola is a weak virus. This is craziness. We don't have to buy into this nonsense. And we don't need governments or their lapdog errand boys of the medical model or the medical mafia interfering in our lives to, quote, protect us. Keeping viruses and bacteria and infections out of the body is not the job of the government. It's not the job of your doctor. It's not the job of anybody. It's our job. And all we have to do is support this divine mechanism that we call the immune system, this divine mechanism that we all possess, that we all own, that has been designed divinely or by evolution, however you want to look at it, designed to withstand assaults from pathogens, microbes, bacteria, and viruses. What we need to be figuring out is, number one, how to build the immune system, how to strengthen it, and number two, how not to suppress it. In fact, how not to suppress it is probably the most important thing we could do if we're worried about any virus, not just Ebola, herpes, and shingles, and the flu virus, and hepatitis C. Why do you think there's these drugs out that cost $1,000 a pill to deal with hepatitis C? It's because we don't understand how to maximize and how to optimize the unbelievably, massively incredible system in the body that's called the immune system. So what do? How do you build the immune system? Well, from a physical perspective, keep in mind there's mental strategies, emotional strategies, and yes, spiritual strategies as well to maintaining health and to building a strong immune system. In a way, the immune system is kind of spiritual when you think about it. The immune system is the way we detect the enemy, the not self. It's the distinction between self and not self, or it creates a boundary between self and not self. And in a way, the immune system or immune problems are some kind of breakdown in the distinction between who we are and what is outside of our bodies. And then from a mental perspective and an emotional perspective, every time we think a crappy thought, our immune system becomes suppressed. This is not some kind of new age gobbledygook. When we think a crappy thought, our cortisol levels go up, our stress hormone levels go up. Stress hormone shuts down the immune system. Cortisol acts to suppress immunity. That's why you use a hydrocortisone cream if you have an immune reaction. That's why they give you prednisone if you have an immune disease. It suppresses the immune system. Prednisone is a pharmacological version of cortisol, the body's natural stress hormones. The stress system, the body's adrenal stress system, which is represented by the stress hormone cortisol largely, shuts down immunity. So relaxing, not thinking lousy thoughts, not feeling lousy feelings, the whole mental and emotional aspects of health have to be addressed and have to be recognized if we're going to build or keep our immune system from being suppressed and maintain a strong immune system that can maintain this barrier between self and not self. From a physical perspective, breathing. Keeping sugar intake low. In fact, keeping sugar intake low is probably the single most important strategy we can use, not just for building the immune system, but for overall health, for longevity, for any kind of reducing any kind of physical symptoms of distress. Keeping sugar intake down. And oatmeal is sugar, and cereal is sugar, and bagels are sugar, and oranges and apples and watermelon is sugar, and fruit juice is sugar, and desserts and cakes and pasta and all those kinds of foods are sugar. Keeping sugar intake low is job number one to strengthen the immune system. Why doesn't the governor of Connecticut, I don't hear him mention anything about sugar. I hear him talking about quarantining. I hear him talking about, what does it say here? He's going to give state health officials the authority necessary to prevent any potential transmission of the Ebola virus within the state of Connecticut. In other words, the authority to quarantine and isolate people who he believes reasonably have been exposed to the Ebola virus. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. We're coming back with more good health information right after this. Okay, our number today is 855-660-4261. Got a couple lines open for you talking Ebola. If you caught the news, if you watched the news this morning, you know that the governor of Connecticut has declared a state of emergency in the state of Connecticut about concerning Ebola. Never mind that nobody in Connecticut has Ebola, but it gives the governor a chance to quarantine people and isolate people whom he, quote, reasonably believes have been exposed to the Ebola virus. If we really care about Ebola or antiviral protection, if our government really cares, they would be giving everybody zinc, and everybody would have magnesium, and we'd all have nutritional supplements, and we'd all learn how to relax a little bit, or we would encourage learning how to relax a little bit to activate the immune system. Do you guys know that the immune system is activated under conditions of relaxation? Yes. That's because when we're under survival threat, when the body's under survival threat, the last thing the body cares about is protection from viruses. Viral protection, bacterial protection requires activation of the relaxation nervous system, the relaxation response. So lightening up, relaxing, taking hot baths, massages, deep breathing, therapeutic touch. These are wonderful antiviral immune boosting strategies, as of course is nutritional supplementation and dietary strategies. Laying off sugar is job number one. Using nutritional supplements, using the Mighty 90 essential nutrients. You can't have a strong immune system if you don't have the Mighty 90 essential nutrients in your body. Dr. Wallach and Youngevity have made it so easy to get the Mighty 90 essential nutrients in your body. If you're serious about antiviral protection, if you're serious about building the immune system, get on the Mighty 90 essential nutrients, get on the Healthy Start Pack. Make sure you're using the Ultimate EFAs to help build prostaglandins. Make sure you're getting zinc, which is stupendously important for building the immune system, 50 milligrams a day. Make sure you're using your Ultimate Selenium, stupendously antiviral, maybe the single most antiviral nutrient of all, along with zinc and along with vitamin C. And oh, by the way, make sure you're using vitamin C, and it can be ascorbic acid. It doesn't have to be food-based vitamin C for building your immune system. We talked about this yesterday. I'm still getting letters, by the way, from people who want me to address this nonsense that's being spewed out. I don't know who is responsible for this craziness that ascorbic acid is not vitamin C. Ascorbic acid has all of the properties that you want from a vitamin. It is vitamin C. It's not food vitamin C, which is, of course, as we've said so many times, superior, but it's still vitamin C in terms of its effect in the body. And then, in addition to the Mighty 90 essential nutrients, you can use miscellaneous antiviral nutritional type substances if you're interested in protecting yourself from Ebola or herpes or shingles or flu or hepatitis or any other viruses. It's called a polysaccharide, many sugar, long chain of sugar molecules. Something very interesting happens in the body when it interfaces with polysaccharides from fruits and vegetables and herbs. Polysaccharides, macro polychemicals, long, big chemicals made up of smaller sugar units, are stupendously important for stimulating and strengthening the immune system. And luckily, they're found throughout nature. They're found throughout the plant kingdom. Our antiviral legacy is found in plants. It's found in herbs. It's found in fruits and vegetables. Throughout history, plants have represented, as we said yesterday, the most likely source of food toxins. So it makes sense the body would respond to these plant chemicals, these polysaccharides that are found throughout plants, by upregulating immunity, and that's exactly what happens. Fucoidan which is the active ingredient in the fucoidan Z and the Z radical. That's one of the best of these immune-boosting molecules, and fucoidan Z is wonderfully antiviral. If you're really serious about protecting yourself from viruses, whether it's the flu virus or the hepatitis virus or any other virus, herpes, or, of course, Ebola, which is just another virus, use your fucoidan Z. Take 3 capsules in the morning and 3 capsules at night. One of the neat things about polysaccharides is they're non-toxic. They're completely non-toxic. And they don't cost $1,000 a pill. There's other polysaccharides that are similar to fucoidan that have antiviral and Ebola properties. Mushrooms and aloe and noni, eggshell membrane, algae, herbs. We talked about this yesterday. Vegetables, fruits. These all have immune-boosting antiviral polysaccharides. And for you guys who are part of our Youngevity family, we got a new one. We got a new polysaccharide. A company called Restart. Youngevity bought a company called Restart. I love how Youngevity is always on the lookout for good products and good companies. A la Biolumin Nightly Essence, the Fucoidan Z and the Z Radical, Jordan Rubin's products, the Beyond Organic products, and now the Restart Your Life products, the beta-glucan products from Restart Your Life. I talked to Joyce Cordell, who's one of the owners of the company at the Youngevity Convention. Wonderful lady. I'm very, very excited to be working with Restart Your Life. Beta-glucan is awesome, awesome, awesome stuff. It's got all kinds of health benefits. It's got great benefits for diabetics. It can help improve blood sugar. It can help lower blood fats. It can help fight cancer. It can help protect the skin from photo damage, from wrinkles. And beta-glucan has some important antiviral properties, which we'll be talking about here as we continue discussing the immune system. One of the neatest things about beta-glucan is that it upregulates the effects of prostaglandins. There's a relationship between polysaccharides and prostaglandins, specifically between beta-glucan and prostaglandins. This is one of beta-glucan's main biochemical activities. There's scientific research that suggests that beta-glucan may have protective effects against drugs that suppress prostaglandins, so-called NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, NSAIDs, NSAIDs like Motrin and Naprosyn and Aleve. These are drugs that suppress prostaglandins in an effort to keep inflammation down. Aspirin's the same thing. Aspirin toxicity is very common. Why is aspirin toxicity so common? And why is Motrin and NSAID toxicity so common? Well, because you can't suppress prostaglandins without having effects throughout the body. So this prostaglandin suppression effect that is really what gives aspirin and what gives Motrin and drugs like Motrin their benefits is the same thing that gives aspirin and Motrin and drugs like Motrin their side effects and toxicity. And some of these side effects and toxicity are deadly. They'll kill you. All because of this prostaglandin suppression effect. Well, guess what? It turns out beta-glucan can help suppress or help protect or mitigate or alleviate some of the toxicity that's associated with prostaglandin suppression, with the prostaglandin suppression that is linked to aspirin and Motrin and Naprosyn. In an article that was published in the journal Current Therapeutic Research, it was shown, this is from December 2010, it was shown that polysaccharides in general and beta-glucan can reduce the damage to the digestive lining of animals that have been given regular doses of aspirin. So if you're on aspirin, if your doctor told you got to take a daily dose of aspirin, if you're using Motrin, if you're using lots of Motrin, make sure you're using prostaglandin to help mitigate or relieve or reduce some of the toxicity associated with these drugs. Beta-glucan is also important for the liver, which of course is a key player in immunity and detoxification and prostaglandin production too. All right.